Hey, what's up, guys? I do want to show you what I believe to be the best brush for line art in Krita. I have a very comic booky style, so I feel like it's fitting that I chose this brush. Um, it's this one right here. So if you look at the title, it's D, close parentheses, capital ink, capital I ink, dash 4, pen rough. So it's this one right here. It has this logo. If you look for it inside the brush palettes, you will find it. Let me look for it here. Right there. So you have to like scroll down a bit. You do want to make sure all the brushes are unlocked in Krita. So it's really easy now in Krita 5. It's this button right here with the box and the line in the middle of the box, storage resources. You want to make sure all these are activated. If they're activated, they're dark. I'm going to deactivate one real quick. This one right here, if I click that, it becomes lighter, so that means it's deactivated. So you want to make sure they're all activated so that you have access to all the default brushes. I don't really customize very many of my own brushes. If you like that, that's pretty awesome, and I would love to see the brushes you made. But I always love choosing from the defaults, and I think their defaults are pretty good. I do want to show you the old brushes that I was using. So this one here is the other G Pen brush that they have, and you can see it has smooth edges, and I think it's fine, to be honest. But there's something about the rough edges of the other G Pen brush that make it more appealing to me. When you have these really smooth brushes and you erase parts of them off like that, they'll have these like really fine edges. And I think what happens with these brushes is that you have so much control over the pixels that it almost feels like you're being a little bit too particular sometimes with the line quality. I tend to find myself wasting time with getting like the perfect line, making sure it has perfect line weight. And I think that's one of the traps of digital art is that we get really particular about the quality of the line. And then I made one for animation, which is basically this brush. Uh, let's see, the title of this one is D Ink 3 G Pen. So the other one is D Ink 4 Pen Rough, and this one's D Ink 3 G Pen. Now I edited it to create one called Choke Animation. So for this one, I reverse engineered the pen brush from Clip Studio Paint, which is the same thing as the G Pen brush here, except I changed the brush settings to look like this. I have the size, pressure sensitivity for size to look like have this curve. If you look at the original, this one here, Ink 3 G Pen, and I click the brush settings. The brush settings are up here, by the way, up at the top left, right there. And it has that much steeper curve. So as you can see, it starts off really small. Now I'm going to delete all this, and I'm going to go to the brush that I find superior, which is the the Ink 4 Pen Rough. So as you can see, if I zoom in here, the edges are a little bit more coarse. You can see that. And I think when you draw with a real pen, real traditional art has sort of coarse edges. Even if you do use a G pen, which will get you pretty fine lines, when you get really close, it's going to have some roughness to it. And I think that's what makes things feel more natural. So if I make this pen a little bit more thin, it just has a really natural feel to it. And I feel like I can draw much faster with it. And usually what I do when I'm drawing with a line art brush is that I use the same brush as an eraser. So in Krita, if your pen tablet has like an eraser side on the back of the pen, then it will like basically switch to a different brush that you set to be an eraser. But in Krita, if you press the E button while your brush is selected, it will just turn that same brush into an eraser of itself. So as you can see, I'm pressing the E button, and you can see this logo here is blinking. I'm pressing E to make it deactivated, activated and deactivated. So as you can see, I'm making some pretty nice lines. You can practice making thick lines and thin lines and using the shift button. You can use the shift button to change the size. You can also use the bracket keys. I like the shift button. It's a little bit faster. Of course, these are Windows commands. I don't know how many of you use Krita on Mac, but the commands are probably going to be a little different for you. So I just really love the feel of it. You can like sketch with it, but even with the sketch, you can like clean up the lines pretty well with itself. And if I show you like the same kind of drawing again, I'm gonna keep comparing these brushes because comparison is really important. Like if I were to make an uh, a eyeball, if I were to go try to correct the edge of the eyeball, it might take me a few strokes to get it like nice and round the way I want it to be, and I might have to like change it a little bit. You know, if I want to do eye eyelash or something, you know, I might have to take a few strokes to make it look just right. And again, with these finely controlled brushes, you have a lot of control over the pixels, and it ultimately is just not going to feel right um, unless you take a lot of time. I'd rather go fast, so I'm going to go back to the brush that I like. I'm going to do the same thing here. That's round enough for me, and like the line tapers off really nicely. I feel like um, the built-in pressure curve is pretty clean. And I feel like that accomplishes the same thing, and yet you know I didn't spend nearly as much time trying to perfect the lines. And if I try to correct it a little bit, the roughness to it helps me be a little bit more general and fast. Okay, so I'm going to look at the brush settings again, and you could see the pressure curve for the size is just a straight line from 0 to 100. Pretty cool, and it feels natural to me. It feels just right. So that's currently like I've evolved over time. I used to use this one. I used to use this one for recent prints, like the Chrono Trigger print, and then I was using this one too, ink ball pen. I know I've made videos about this brush before, but now I primarily use this brush for sketching. I don't use it for line art anymore, though you could if you wanted to. But definitely, again, the D Ink 4 pen rough is my favorite. I might do some more time lapse videos using this brush if you guys want, and it's just really awesome. All right, so hope you guys liked that video. Hopefully you guys end up using it, and let me know what you think of that brush. It's really fun. All right, see you guys later. Bye bye.